Yo, what's up guys, Neon Blitz here, back with another Dragon Ball Gekishin Squadra video. We are just a couple of days away from the official start of Season 5, so it's time to give my full thoughts and review of Dragon Ball Gekishin Squadra Season 4 Happy Anniversary. I've done this for Season 2 and for Season 3, so I'll leave a link to both of those videos in the description. But if you're unsure how exactly to do these reviews, I split these up into 3 different sections. My positives, what I really liked about the season, what I think was a great addition to the game, or great things or aspects that I think the Season 4 Happy Anniversary did well. My negatives, that what I think the season really needed to improve upon, things and aspects I just didn't like, and my neutrals of, I either just feel nothing about this, or, while I may have personally liked it, I see why a lot of people didn't, and it made me realize, okay, I'll just bring it down to neutral, or aspects that I didn't really like that I just don't think were warranted enough to be a full negative. So with that, let's get fully started with this. The half-year anniversary teaser, I think, was a great way to drum up hype for the game. Obviously, it's not the craziest video. It's just showing off, like, all the skill or, like, in-game models that we see from the character spotlights, and some of the legendary intros and other cosmetics that lead up to going through all the post-launch characters, and then ending us with a little teaser of when the actual Season 4 squad attack would happen, which a great way to drum up hype. Happy anniversaries and anniversaries of mobile games are big deals, so glad they were treating this with respect. And that's going to lead into the actual half-year anniversary cinematic trailer, and there's 2 aspects of this I like. One, the fact that it even exists at all. The fact that the only other cinematic trailer we have was for the launch of the game, so having another one for a happy anniversary is awesome. And another aspect that I liked about this is that they played this at the end of the NA Squadra Blast. This felt like a big, love letter thank you to the hardcore fans of Squadra that would be watching the hardcore competitive scene. And it's obviously where we got our character reveals for Kid Buu, God Goku, and God Vegeta. I think these are all phenomenal picks, especially for happy anniversary. God Goku and God Vegeta were highly requested characters that, while hype enough, they're not like ultra omega hype like a fusion or like an ultra instinct Goku, and I think work perfectly for a happy anniversary. And Kid Buu, the game desperately needed more villains, and having him be in the game was an amazing pick. Obviously people were memeing that while Squadra got Kid Buu before Dokkan got their LR Kid Buu. I'm just glad he's here, and the fact that I think he rounds out this roster quite nicely. We have a God duo and a villain, perfectly rounds out the roster. Then this actual Squadra talk itself. They had obviously played the cinematic trailer for those who missed it. Then they showed us an in-game look at all the characters and their legendary cosmetics, and they look great. And all the new cosmetics that were coming, people love this Broly, or this Turles armor Broly, and this Tapion outfit Trunks. They just gave us a bunch of new information. One of the biggest changes or biggest additions that they did was to introduce this login bonus during part 1 and part 2 of the happy anniversary, where during part 1 you get a bunch of Zenny, bunch of free goodies, but the most important thing was you got legendary Super Saiyan Broly for free during part 1, and then you did that once again during the second half, but this time you got Super Vegeta for free, which I'd imagine a lot of new players took advantage of, and were a big reason why new players were playing the game, because getting Broly and Super Vegeta for free is wild. I think this is awesome that they did it. An incredibly smart move from Gekishin Squadra, basically making people log in for 28 days or to get these new characters for free, and these new and incredibly hyped characters is a great idea. And then speaking of the happy anniversary for part 1, they gave us this kind of mission tab that you can get a bunch of new rewards, like a new loading screen, a new cosmetic that we see in this game. When you load into a match, while you see all the characters and their name, the usernames, you get a different background. You get a bunch of new goodies, and then an infinite skin. Giving a free infinite skin is quite nice. Infinite skins, I think, are the second rarest or highest tier rarity in the game. I would say the premium skins, the legendary skins that obviously change the full model of the character, like that Turles Broly armor, or that Turles armor Broly, that is the highest rating. But infinite skins, these like moving effects on skins, can look quite nice, and getting one for free is awesome. Then of course more Twitch shops. Weird that it was Borat that got the Twitch shop and not a God Goku, but God Goku already got a lot of skins in this happy anniversary, so I guess that's why. I mean, free rewards, you can't get too mad about this. You literally just set up a stream in the background, go do whatever, then you'll get free skins, more Zenny, free goodies as well. Next is they ran 2 Twitter campaigns on their social media, and while one is in a different section of the video, this was one of the coolest things I've ever seen a Dragon Ball game do. This skin design contest where they gave you this blank template of God Goku, and you just design what skin you want to see in the game, and then they would judge it, and whatever skin won would eventually be added into the game in June. So we should be seeing it sometime either during season 5 or maybe season 6, depending on how complicated the skin is. I'd imagine it's going to be season 5, but I think this is an awesome thing to do. What a cool, fun idea that, well, unfortunately, of course, there's going to be AI, fuck AI, that overruns the contest. The actual idea behind this, of having fans create a new skin for God Goku, is so cool to me, and I hope they do this more in the future, especially for the 1-year anniversary. Imagine, I don't know, let's just say the 1-year anniversary is Super Gogeta, and they give fans a chance to design a Super Gogeta skin. That would be so cool, seeing what new potential legendary outfits or skins they give Super Gogeta would be awesome. And you don't really see this level of kind of player-based connectivity in other Dragon Ball games, not especially for Dokkan. At best, Dokkan will give you a survey of like, hey, what new characters do you want to see in the game? And like, Hit, KO, Caulifla, or what characters from these moments should we make an LR? That's pretty much it. So the fact that Squadron went above and beyond to let players design a new skin is awesome. Next is the April Fool's skins, which, while I think Squadron was maybe a tiny bit late on the skins, not that they missed April Fool's, they just started this April Fool's bit too late. I think this joke was pretty funny that they had Hit and God Vegeta and Sue skins, and they gave him like a society member training, basically an interview of what they would do, and they already said apologize or Hit uses a time skip, or Vegeta just launching an attack at him. I think it's pretty funny, and it would eventually lead to the skins actually both being up in game. And while I haven't really seen Hit using this skin much, mostly because you're not seeing as many hits right now thanks to Kid Buu, which we'll get to, I've seen a lot of players use this God Vegeta skin because it released around the time he came out, and it's just a really good looking skin. Unfortunately, it's time limited, but the fact that it exists in game is awesome, and I hope Squadra keeps doing more April Fool skins and gives us more skins like this. Next, we have the Super Zenny Jamboree, where at the end of Season 3, they already announced that they would be doubling the amount of Zenny you got from Mr. Saiyans Zenny Jamboree to 7,000 to 14,000. And the Super Zenny Jamboree actually doubled that, so instead of 14,000, you got 28,000 Zenny. Now, I understand, yes, they have made Zenny much more plentiful, which thankfully they have. That was so dumb that Zenny was so rare as it was during the earlier season. But I think doubling the amount of Zenny you got was a great choice. Just way more Zenny, way more resources, always a good idea. Next, the fact that Kid Buu was actually playable at Dragon Ball Games Battle Hour. Awesome. I know they've done this during Season 2, where at Jump Festa in Japan, I believe Legendary Super Saiyan Broly was playable. So this is just them kind of continuing that trend. But the fact that fans could, if they went to the event, could play Kid Buu early, read his whole kit, see his cosmetics, try him out for the first time, I think that's cool. It's great for fans that want to try out the character first, and the fact that Kid Buu was playable there was awesome. Then next, I'm going to put the part 2 of the half-year anniversary. Now, we'll talk about the part 1 of the half-year anniversary, but this part 2 truly felt like when the half-year anniversary really got to that next level, and I'm going to say it's because of 2 things. One, the fact that they gave out 28 SG capsules, pretty much 4 multis, almost 5 multis of legendary, for a chance of legendary rare epic cosmetics. This was a big deal. This is all thanks because they did a co-op campaign based on how much damage he did, and players instantly hit like I don't know, 150 million that they set up. So they set up higher tiers up to like 3 billion, and players were able to hit that. So we got 28 SG capsules, which is awesome. You either save that for your most anticipated character, or you use it on Kid Buu, which that's what I did. I used mine on Kid Buu. And everything here during the part 2 happy anniversary truly felt happy anniversary worthy. We got a bunch of these infinite skins of red versus blue. We got what I think is most importantly, the doubled hero memories, which I don't know why the double hero memories wasn't active during the part 1 of the half-year anniversary, but I'm so thankful that for essentially 3 or 4 weeks we got double hero memories, which again, it should have been during part 1 as well, but I'm glad they brought back Double Hero Memories just because that was a big deal, especially during the New Year's campaign. So I'm glad we finally got it back. And during the Part 2 Happy Anniversary, we got a second version of the special pass with the God Goku, where we got an infinite skin for God Vegeta. While I like the skin less than the God Goku one, I'm still appreciative that we have a free infinite skin. And we have what I think is a more important effect than the loading screen. We have a home screen visualizer, which changed a lot of the top taps, the circle with like fire around it, and we got this God Goku, God Vegeta for the battle icon, for the battle button. Looks really nice, and I'll take home screen effects over loading screen effects all day of the week. We got a second set of Twitch shops, more rewards. You just set up a Twitch shop and set a Twitch stream in the background. Go crazy, do whatever you gotta do. Next is I'm actually gonna put the second Gekishin Cup, which I didn't put a Gekishin Cup, I don't think, in my Season 3 review, just because I didn't personally enter. But I entered in this one, and even if I didn't enter, the fact that they had this without Divine Jaws was really fun and interesting. Now, I'm sure that's because of a certain Divine Jaw, which we'll get to, but the fact that they're willing to test out no Divine Jaws in a competitive setting is really interesting. It makes me wonder what they're considering for ranked in future seasons. Are they maybe considering no Divine Jaws in ranked? Are they maybe looking at data and saying, okay, maybe some Divine Jaws can't be this strong because otherwise it's going to lead to us having to disable Divine Jaws during ranked? Really fun event. And I'm glad they're willing to test out stuff like this, and I hope they do more testing. Next was the Bulma Super Capsule Bonanza, which gave out 20 SG capsules, which I believe normally gives out 10. So just for playing the game and even logging in, you got like over 50 capsules. It was insane. Now, obviously, I imagine most players, if you have used them at this point, are getting legendary cosmetics for Kid Buu, God Vegeta, and Goku. That's what I did. But if you saved up, you have a bunch saved, bunch of SG capsules saved up, ready to go for whatever future cosmetic ends up coming to the game, or when your future character is eventually added. And I'm gonna bring him up here specifically. Kid Buu is one of the most fun characters in this game. No other character has had me playing this game as much as he has. Now, the Super Saiyan 4 Vegeta, Ultimate Gohan, Broly, Vegito, Bardock, Kefla, God Goku, God Vegeta. No other character has been as much fun as Kid Buu has. Now, obviously, his power level may be too strong, and we'll get to that. But his base kit itself is so fun, and yet I am aware his power level does contribute to that. But the way his parts interact, the damage he does with his skill 3, the skill 2 being a hook that you can extend the range, you just feel so good landing the skill 2. His ult is absolutely crazy. The fact that he's a technical character but can do so much damage is insane. And he's one of the most fun characters in the game for me. I'm so glad he's in the game finally. And coming up at the end of this season, which this will bleed into Season 5, so maybe I could have saved it for Season 5, but I'm going to introduce it here, was the Goku Day set of missions where you got a bunch of goodies, and you got a Rage skin for Super Saiyan Goku. The fact that they didn't really advertise this that much, they just kind of dropped this at here. Here you go, here's a free Rage skin. Cool. That's perfectly fine with me. Goku Day, while in other games might be a bigger celebration like in Dokkan, that's when they got God Goku and Beerus. Squadra was kind of at the end of... It was in a bit of an awkward position because Season 4 is about to end, Season 5 is about to begin. So, just throwing this small event out there. Considering already at the end of Season 4 Happy Anniversary. Perfectly fine, especially considering we also already had Double Hero Memories from Part 2 of the Happy Anniversary. Cool that this was here. I'm glad that they did it. More SG capsules, so they gave it a bunch of SG capsules this season. Now we're going to get into my neutrals, because as much as I was playing this game during the Happy Anniversary, I do think there's a lot of questionable things that they did that they either didn't need to do or things that they really did. And it's the character roles. Now, if you were to ask me when these were revealed, I would have said this was a negative. But this is mostly saved by Kid Buu. I'll be 100% honest. This is saved by Kid Buu. That's why this is a neutral. The fact that God Goku was damaged, God Vegeta was tank, and Kid Buu was technical is really weird. A lot of people were wanting God Goku to be technical, especially with his moveset from the Broly movie, having the God Bind. Maybe he could have turned Super Saiyan to support, give people God Ki, I don't know, right? God Vegeta as a tank just feels really weird. He kind of has God Bind for himself in his skill 3, and a lot of the moves are kind of made up for God Vegeta. And he's also just weird. Like, why is a God Vegeta built around like regenning a bunch of health? That's really weird considering we have other characters like Zamasu, who's supposed to be the regenning tank that God Vegeta just absolutely destroys Zamasu, and it's pretty weird. And Kid Buu, the final boss of Z, all the players wanted him to be damaged. I personally wanted... It's funny, because I've requested all 3 of these characters. I've asked for God Goku during Season 3, I've asked for Kid Buu during Season 3, and I asked for God Vegeta during Season 4. So I was ready with God Vegeta. But I said God Vegeta would be damaged, God Goku would be technical, and Kid Buu would be damaged. I mean, it's the final boss of Z. One of the first things Kid Buu does is just blows up the Earth. The fact that he's a technical / supporting character didn't fit too right with people. But the way they designed Kid Buu with how much damage he could do makes these characters being roll locked less impactful to me just because of Kid Buu. He still does a lot of damage and the amount of debuffs he does, and because he is technical in the bag, and his bag of tricks that he has with his skill 2, skill 3 ultimate makes him being a technical lot less, and I'm perfectly fine supporting Squadra with their character designs. But I do wish that characters will not be roll locked in the future. I think it just would be kind of boring to predict every Goku's going to be damaged, every Vegeta's going to be tank, every Buu's going to be technical. This is again saved by Kid Buu and how fun Kid Buu is and how much damage Kid Buu does. Next, I'm actually going to put the Squadra talk here. Well, I used the Squadra talk earlier to talk about like part 1 of the half-year anniversary. This Squadra talk, looking back on it, hid a lot of important information that I don't really understand. They replayed the cinematic trailer, which is fine, and they obviously show us an in-game look at the characters, because obviously since we knew what the characters were, this isn't announcing it, so the hype for seeing what new Season 4 characters is gone. But there's just a lot of stuff here that either just was not received well, which we'll talk about later. And one of the important things that they didn't talk about, which I'm really surprised at, is the new camera. This seems like a massive deal that I'm surprised they didn't talk about. If you're not aware, this is what the current Gekishin Squadra camera looks like. It's pretty zoomed out. This is what the Gekishin Squadra used to look like. Pretty zoomed in at a much closer angle. You saw less of the map compared to this. And very interesting that they just didn't talk about this. This is like a pretty big deal that you would think they would talk about in that Squadra talk. Also, yeah, this initial screen shake, you could turn this off in the settings, which I did. But what the hell were they thinking with that screen shake? I have no idea what they were thinking, because you can see there, they don't have that much of a screen shake. And well, obviously, a lot of players are upset at first at the fact that they had a new camera. You got used to it pretty quickly. It's just a weird change that they have talked about, that they might have some more settings later down on the road. We don't know when, but they said there might be more settings, so who's to say how long it's going to be like this. But it's a weird change that I think they could have talked about in the Squadra talk. And you know, a lot of these things that they talked about during the Squadra talk was kind of weird and received not too well, but it still obviously was good seeing what's coming during Season 4, so that's why I used it during the positives to talk about the half-year anniversary part 1, and here was neutral. But I will say, the half-year anniversary part 1 was nothing crazy. It was pretty much just God Goku, the Broly login campaign, these legendary revivals, which was your kind of the first chance to get old legendary cosmetics, but it was locked behind Dragon Gems, so why did they even do it? It's really dumb that I'm sure a lot of players would have used their SG capsules to maybe get these rare and old cosmetics, so the fact that they're locked behind Dragon Gems was dumb. The Epic Revival, which a one-time 10% chance to get a cosmetic, locked behind Dragon Gems, sure, that's fine. Weird system, the fact that it was only once. And all these other changes just were odd, right? It didn't feel like a half-year anniversary. It felt just a regular season. And while the part 2 of the half-year anniversary did redeem it, it was just a weird feeling that part 1 didn't feel too crazy. So that's why I'm putting it in neutrals here. Next, we're talking about the half-year anniversary creator showdown. If you're not familiar with this, was Gekishin Squadra sponsored a bunch of very popular YouTube streamers and Twitch streamers that have experiences in MOBAs like League of Legends, and sponsor them to play the game and have this kind of big 4v4 showdown where it'll be 3 streamers on one team with both of them, with a producer, either Toshi and you, and 3 streamers with the other producer going against each other, and God Vegeta would be playable here. Well, I personally thought this was fine. Showcasing Squadra to a new audience that may be interested in playing the game. There are questionable things here. One of the biggest complaints was why, right? Who knows how much they're paid all these streamers to play this game when they could maybe put that money elsewhere. That's a very oversimplification, and I'm sure the money that they spent sponsoring may not have made too much of a difference into too much of a noticeable difference at Squadra. But this is a thing to point out. Another big issue was the fact that there's no Dragon Ball creators, right? These are all creators that have MOBA experience. Like Tyler One, if you catch him on a random day, he's probably streaming League of Legends. Box. While you may have known him for TFT, Teamfight Tactics, got his big come up on from being a Riven one trick. There's all these all these streamers had MOBA experience, so they're clearly doing this to showcase Squadra during a new audience. But if you're a fan of Squadra already, or even Dragon Ball, you wanted to see other Dragon Ball creators. So the fact that they're not here really bummed people out, and creators in the Squadra content creator program also felt a little disrespected because they get into this program. They select people, right? I'm hoping one day I can get into it. But once you're in the program, you're pretty much just getting new assets early. So, like, I don't know, let's just say Frieza comes out. Like, Frieza comes out Wednesday, let's say, right? Squadra themselves will drop the official trailer on Monday. But creators in the content creator program would get all of the Frieza trailer, plus all of his assets with recolors, skins, and legendary cosmetics Saturday night. So theoretically, they can upload early and get more views and all of that. But besides that, there's really no benefit to being in the content creator program. So creators in the content creator program felt disrespected that these big streamers essentially get paid to play the game and showcase the game that they're probably never going to play again. When creators that are grinding their views, grinding their time playing content, they're grinding Gekishin Squadra, essentially get nothing. So it also didn't help that this was the first showcase of God Vegeta. I thought they would show God Vegeta's character spotlight here, but they actually didn't. They just had Toshi and Balfs play God Vegeta, and it was not a good first impression of God Vegeta. Obviously, we don't know the skill levels of Toshi and you, and all the streamers playing maybe had like a couple days to practice the game, so they're obviously not the highest ranks, but it just didn't leave a good first impression of God Vegeta, which was very quickly replaced with once players actually played him and realized how strong he was, which we'll get to. But I think overall this event, who's to say how, if it actually worked, it actually brought a bunch of players into the game. That's a video I would want to make, just I haven't had time. Just a very weird event, and nothing that we've really seen for Dragon Ball, because you've never seen Dragon Ball games sponsor players like that. You didn't really see people get sponsored to play Dragon Ball Fighters. We never see sponsorships for Dokkan or Legends. We've never seen really sponsorships for Sparking Zero or Breakers. So it's weird that Gekishin Squadra is doing this in the first place, and it was met with a bunch of negativity. I thought it was fine, but that's why it's here. Not negativity, and the neutral tier. Oh my god, I don't know why I struggled so hard to say that, but just a weird event overall that brought its own controversies. Next, it's gonna be this 4.2 patch, which we'll get to the first season 4 patch. I'm putting this at neutral because theoretically this was a good patch. It nerfed the two most complained about characters of Kefla and Bardock. It buffed God Goku, which you weren't really seeing God Goku too much at their highest ranks, like a week after he came out, which is not a great thing for a brand new character. God Goku is obviously still good, do not get me wrong. But a lot of players, especially mobile and console players, said he was hard to play. You weren't seeing him that often. Sure, fine, it did buff. Super Saiyan Vegeta got some adjustments. You could say maybe got nerfed, but they heavily increased the damage as well. And Krillin got buffed considering the Season 4 patch. Nerfed Krillin pretty hard. So, I'm putting this at neutral because it should not have taken God Vegeta's release, which is another reason this is a neutral. That they nerfed the best tank in the game right as a new tank was coming out that would replace Bardock as the best tank in the game. It took them way too long to nerf Bardock and Kefla. And the fact that they paired this with God Vegeta just felt really... or rubbed players the wrong way. That's why I'm putting this at neutral. You could put this at negative. I wouldn't argue that, but I'm putting it at neutral here. With that is all the neutrals feelings I had towards the happy anniversary. Now we're going to get to all my negative thoughts, what I didn't like about the season. First off is the leak. Now, I know there was leaks for Season 5, which I'll talk about during the Season 5 review. But I'm going to just simply talk about this leak because this was officially from Squadra themselves. If you weren't familiar, they posted a tweet that said, hey, the Squadra Fox Season 4 is going to happen here. Perfectly fine, they did it for every other season. The problem was, people took the picture that they put out, changed the brightness or exposure, whatever you want to call it, and we're able to see a Goku's hair, or we were able to see a Goku and Vegeta that seemingly had like a brighter, darker color hair. And players are very quickly able to assume that it was God Goku and God Vegeta. The fact that this leaked officially from Squadra themselves sucks. We knew 2 of the characters of the happy anniversary like days before the official reveal, and that sucks. Again, there's been Season 5 leaks, which I'll talk about then, but that was from data mines from the game. This was officially something Squadra tweeted out. And it sucks because it kind of jumped out. I wouldn't say jumped out a lot of the hype, just because God Vegeta and God Goku are hype characters that players are excited for. But it took a lot out of the moment because now we're like, okay, we know what 2 of the characters are. Who's the last character? So it sucked that Squadra officially leaked this themselves. Next, I'm always going to complain about this, even though this doesn't impact me. Bots. There's still bots in the game. What's even crazier to me is sub rules do not have bots. I do not understand that. Why do sub rules not have bots, but the main mode, even in ranked, has bots? To get rid of bots, you need to get to A rank minimum. I don't know why it's like that. It's a game that are there not enough players to fill out lower tier lobbies that you have to put bots for low queue times? It's just not fun to play with or against. Please just remove the bots. This has been an issue plaguing Gekishin Squadra ever since the first beta of Project Multi. Please just remove the bots. Next, I'm going to talk about the Season 4 patch, because this dropped like a day early. This patch was weird. It did a lot of good, like slowing down the game pace, giving bosses more health so you're not just instantly melting them, buffed up some needed characters. Like, this is the patch that I think really accelerated Super Saiyan 3 up to the current meta that he is now. Gave 17 a really good buff that made him one of the best tactical characters in the game. They changed every character except 2, which we'll talk about soon because it leads to one of the negative parts about this. But for the most part, this patch didn't change much. Obviously, Super Saiyan 3 was insane, and it took players a bit of time to get to that, and also God Vegeta's release, I think, helped out Super Saiyan 3 Goku. But most of the buffs were nothing buffs, or even some weird changes. Like, a lot of characters got their ults buffed in some weird ways. A lot of the best characters in the game got buffed, like Oob's ult came out faster. Bardock got significantly buffed for no reason. He was already the best tank in the game, and now his ult did a lot of damage. Why did that happen? His ult now applied energy defense down. Why? He was already one of the best characters in the game. Frieza, I think, ended up actually kind of getting nerfed because I think they changed the values to Zarbon and Dodoria, and they changed his ult from applying attack down to damage over time, which I think is worse. Weird changes like that. Krillin got adjusted and got nerfed. And Ultimate Gohan got a bunch of adjustments. That's fine. But the fact that the two characters not touched were Super Saiyan 4 Vegeta, which is weird, considering the buff that the changes that they gave to Super Saiyan 4 Vegeta, I think could have just been in this balance patch, which the fact that they gave his ult bunch of damage goes in line with Bardock's ult. And Super Saiyan 2 Kefla. I do not know why they did not nerf Bardock and Kefla in this patch. This was the patch they needed to nerf them. They were absolutely dominating the game ever since they came out. And the fact that we essentially had to wait 2 more weeks till God Vegeta's release towards that 4.2 patch for those characters to be nerfed is insane. And they buffed early characters that were already top tier like Oob and Hit. It did some good. You know, they're giving the bosses a lot more health, slowing down the game pace, increasing back form, XP, buffing cards like defense stuff, which you can say definitely defense stuff needs a nerf, and I would agree. But this felt like looking back at this patch, but the buffs and changes to the actual characters themselves, for the most part, felt like nothing buffs. Obviously, there's some crazy buffs, like Daima Goku, I think, got buffed. Boo's all got buffed, and skill cooldown to reduction, you got really good. You maybe characters like 18 and the Trunks got some weird buffs, but it just felt like a really weird balance patch that I don't think hit the mark exactly what players wanted. That's why I put it in a negative, even though I do think the overall balance or battle changes were good for the game, like slowing the game down and giving bosses more health. This is the actual patch notes, you know. Characters got more damage. Characters' ults got changed, which a lot of these were like nothing buffs. Like Topo, this is a nothing buff for Topo. I don't know why they didn't nerf buff Topo or Cell significantly more than they needed. Right? They changed a bunch of these ults that I don't really get why they did. Next are the Divine Draws introduced for this season. Everyone was freaking about Search Trap at the beginning, but as the time has gone on, everyone started freaking about Squeaky Hammer. So we got to talk about all 3 of these because I think they all contributed to this negativity. Search Trap is a thing from Finders Keepers that this red circle will go around, and if you get caught in the trap light, this ball would come down, and if you get hit by it, you lost half your health. And this Divine Draw made players lose their mind, calling the game Mario Party, calling it Mickey, no skill, why is this in the game? And we're seeing it's being removed during Season 5, so they very clearly listened to player feedback on Search Trap. And while I think players overall got better at countering it and not getting hit by it, it was still just really annoying, and I have heard the defense of it that you can obviously play around it. I think Vegeta does a really well job at playing around Search Trap, bringing enemies closer to it, stunning them so they can't move during it, so they get hit and lose half their health. I think the biggest problem with it is just how much damage it did. The fact that it would take half your health and it could kill you was just too much. And yes, it is quite dodgeable. It takes like 2 seconds for it to fully drop. It's a big red circle that it felt like if you got hit by it most of the time, it was your fault. But it seemingly just leads to an issue with Divine Jaws where players don't like it when the Divine Jaw just makes the overall game worse, when they would rather Divine Jaws be more of overall buffs that improve the game quality or happiness of players. Like a lot of players really love Team Rush Go and Superstar. Players would rather Divine Jaws be more like that, where they're more beneficial to the players, that's more neutral buffs towards the whole cast, than specific buffs like skill cooldown to reduction or annoyances like Search Trap, which we'll talk about super cooldown reduction skill 2 now. We've seen them change specific abilities in the game. We've had skill cooldown 1 damage up, we've seen skill cooldown or skill 2 damage up, which is, you know, both of the just makes you skill 1, skill 2 do more damage. We've seen super cooldown reduction vanishing stuff, which made you vanishing jump a lot more usable. And then we have super cooldown reduction skill 2, which is the first time we've had a cooldown reduction on one of the abilities. They did not playtest this too well. Well, it is a fun Divine Draw, especially after the nerfs. I think it's fine after the nerfs. But when this cooldown, or when this Divine Draw first came out, it led to a lot of weird interactions. Fat Boo became one of the best characters in the game with this, because his heal would start the cooldown once he activates it, last for 3 seconds, and the cooldown was like 5 seconds. So it made his heal a 2-second cooldown. The Gammas, they had their skill 2 was like a 2-second cooldown that would give them health on activation, on hit, and would do damage. So it made them really a lot better. It led to the infinite with hit, where with backstab he could infinitely stun a player with his skill cooldown 2 reduction, would lead to a hit being nerfed till they nerfed skill cooldown 2 reduction, and then they reverted the nerfs, which I just felt like they didn't playtest this cooldown reduction to Divine Draw too well. And I think once they nerfed it, it got a lot better. I think it's fine having Divine Draws essentially alter what characters you play. I think that's fine. But it still didn't feel great before the nerfs. And then finally, Squeaky Hammers. Hammers, you destroy a wall, you get this hammer that you could use on enemies, and enemies, NPCs, or even gods of destruction. And it was very quickly apparent how much damage that did to gods of destruction. Especially the first set of gods of destruction, where even at like level 3, level 4, if both players in a lane got Squeaky Hammers, they can rush the god of destruction and get it super low, and it's very hard to counter because it's also doing AoE damage. So you can't just sit under your god of destruction, because you would take a bunch of damage, and you can't stop it. Well, unlike Chip, where if players trying to do Gekishin Burst, you can hit them and it would still do a tiny bit of damage to the god of destruction, but this was just unblockable. There's nothing you could do. And I think this is the main problem with Squeaky Hammers is it highlighted a lot of aspects that players did not like about Gekishin Squadra. The god of destruction system with Gekishin Burst and Max Gekishin Bursts, it's a system that players have complained about. It's a system that it kind of has to be in the game, kind of, because you don't want matches to go on for too long. You want matches to eventually add, so that's why God's Destruction could be chipped even if you get hit. The Squeaky Hammer just ignores that. It's unblockable damage that's also doing damage to you early, and it also helped out people ratting or split pushing, which is another thing that people don't like. The fact that a very valid strategy in this game is to leave a fight early, or just not engage in the fight at all, and just go push the whole time. And if players are not defending it, they have to get out of the fight to go stop you. Otherwise, the God's Destruction will be gone, and you can lose the whole game with that. And Squeaky Hammers just helped that. And it just made the difference between solo queue and full team squads much worse than it already was. People have already complained about solo queue, and you know, why as a solo queue player am I going against a full team of players that have communication and have synergy together? Well, I don't have much. I have very limited communication with my team and no synergy. Squeaky Hammers just amplified that even more, because there's been times where 3 people will fly to a God of Destruction and there's no defending that. You are losing that first God of Destruction. And now you're behind. You can't move up as you lose a lot of map pressure. They get much more XP. They get much more time to farm. They're higher level. Fights are harder. And one of us probably gonna go split push rat, and now you have to fully defend, which means less XP for you. And it's just a very toxic Divine Draw. There's a reason players are actively dodging, actively closing the game when they see this as a Divine Draw that's selected. Because of this Divine Draw, players do not like this, and the fact that it's still here in Season 5 is a highly contested part of Season 5. I'm sure they're gonna nerf it, because they've nerfed Divine Draws, they nerfed Super Cooldown Reduction Skill 2, they've nerfed Medical Respawn. But the fact that it's here in the game in this state, the fact that it lasted the entire season is wild, and the fact that it's still here is insane. Hopefully they nerf it during Season 5, because if not, the fans will legitimately riot. The next negative is actually this first Twitter campaign that they did, this Super God Lucky Chance, where you followed and retweeted for a tweet that Squadra had, and you could reply to it for a second chance. You could do this on their English Twitter and their Japanese Twitter, so you had 4 overall chances to get 318 Zenny or 10,000 Zenny. I'm already neutral on this because I don't have a social media, so I legitimately can't answer. Obviously, yes, I can just make one just for this, so that's why it's a neutral. But the negative that I have for this is the fact that they locked a skin behind it and seemingly didn't talk about it too much. Obviously, once players were starting to get the skin, it was everywhere. But the fact that they're locking a skin behind a RNG Twitter campaign, and it was only accessible on their Twitters. I don't think Squadra has a Facebook they could have did the same thing with, or a Blue Sky. It was only on Twitter. RNG chance. You had 4 chances per account, and seemingly they had a system to detect if it was a new account or not. That if it would detect that you were a new account, you would always get 318 Zenny. And there's seemingly no way to get the skin right now. Maybe during Season 5 they'll eventually add it. And while yes, it is not the crazy skin, it's just a rage skin, I still do not like that we are locking skins behind RNG. And even a RNG on a social media campaign, I just do not like that. Well, it's funny because I praised the skin campaign. You know, even though I don't have a Twitter, I wasn't going to answer anyways. I still love the idea of that. But locking a skin behind RNG and interaction to very drive up engagement to maybe have Squadra trending or have Squadra infiltrate more feeds on Twitter so players are more interested. I just don't like the idea of this campaign. I hope they don't bring it back. Next is this 4.3 patch, which will lead into my final negatives of the Season 4 Happy Anniversary. This patch was just weird. They nerfed skill cooldown to reduction, which is good. And because they nerfed that, they reverted the nerfs to hit, which, I mean, they could have just kept hit in its nerf state, and I think most players would have been fine. And hit himself would have been fine, but sure. Then they had buffs to Coolers, Zamasu, and Baby, which didn't really do too much. They were weird buffs. I don't know what they were thinking there. Obviously, they maybe saw the player rates and win rates of these tanks were dramatically down thanks to God Vegeta's release, which we'll get to in a second. But the weirdest thing, and the thing that I actively dislike about this patch, was the second buff to God Goku. And with that, we'll talk about now the character strengths of God Goku, God Vegeta, and Kid Buu. We'll start off with God Goku, as he was the first character released during the Happy Anniversary. God Goku, to me, released at a really healthy power level. He was strong, could do a lot of damage from long range, had some weaknesses. His ult cooldown was really long, unless he used it when his ult or his passive was active. So he didn't have the greatest secure of bosses. He had no escapes, so if an enemy, let's just say an Oob or a Vegito, got on top of him, he would either have to ult himself or just risk dying. Defense step being as strong as it was this season helped God Goku, but defense step was used on everyone. But I think that was relatively healthy. There's characters better than him. He was strong, had some weaknesses. Good power level for a new character. And then they buffed him the first time, making his passive and I think his skill 1 have a lower cooldown, and skill 3 having much lower cooldown. Sure, by the time they buffed God Goku when God Vegeta came out, you were not seeing God Goku as much as he probably should have, considering he was a new character. Players were just playing Vegito, Oob. Players were still figuring out Super Saiyan 3 Goku was super strong. Diamond Goku was running around. Bardock could also handle him quite easily because Bardock was like the best character in the game thanks to still being incredibly busted from his Season 3 release and his ultimate being buffed. So you weren't seeing God Goku as much as you should have. So the first buffs, sure, that's fine. And then God Vegeta came out, and those two synergize incredibly well together. God Vegeta can stop enemies in their tracks, so God Goku can get his damage off way easier. God Vegeta can bring enemies away from God Goku, so God Goku can get back to safety and keep back to fire off his his damage out of the long ranges. They had ults that synergized together. God Vegeta was stunned. God Goku could do all the damage. Passives that would work together. God Vegeta was really annoying that you have to focus him. But if you focus God Vegeta, God Goku is in the back getting his lower cooldowns and all of that. They synergized incredibly well together, and God Vegeta really helped out God Goku. And then they buffed God Goku the second time, getting rid of his weakness of his ultimate. So now he pretty much had his ult every time a boss was up. And just lowered more cooldowns, made his passive a lot better. So his cooldown reduction would help him get his more damage out. And that buff, along with God Vegeta's release, just brought Goku to one of the best damage dealers in the game. And I do not get why God Goku had to get that second buff that was in this 4.2 patch that I'm talking about here. Or 4.3, I apologize. God Vegeta helped out God Goku tremendously. And after the first patch, or first buff, you were seeing God Goku and God Vegeta a lot more. People wanted to do the God lane. People like doing those themed lanes. So I don't get why we had to buff God Goku a second time. You were still seeing God Goku a lot. I don't get why they had to buff God Goku the second time. It's quite unfortunate. And considering I already talked about him, God Vegeta's release. God Vegeta feels like power creep of the tank rule. The fact that his passive of regenning feels way better than Zamasu's regenning passive, when Zamasu's been in the game since the first beta. They nerfed the previous best tank of the game, Bardock, the same patch that God Vegeta came out, which Bardock should have been nerfed way before then. But it just made it seem like, ooh, okay, we have a new toy here. Stop looking at the old toy. Look at our new toy. And God Vegeta's kit is tremendously strong. No other tanks can kind of 1v1 him because God Vegeta would just get his passive up and just out regen the tank. He had some of the most crowd control in the game. The skill 2 that brings enemies closer to him. The skill 3 that immobilizes so they can't use any escape options. His ultimate that stuns and is a global teleport. And at max rank, and even not at max rank, he could be chilling bot lane and ult to Jackie Chun. It has that much rank, or that much range level 1, which is insane. Skill 1 that steals attack, so you're causing enemies to deal less damage. And if you get your passive up, you get all your cooldowns back, and you're regenerating a bunch of health. God Vegeta is just way too strong, and also helps that he has one of the best damage dealers in the game that pairs up really well with him, God Goku. It's just an incredibly strong duo that helps bring both of those characters up to even more toxic pairing, and God Vegeta needs to be nerfed. And there's not really any other tank that can kind of stand with God Vegeta. Speaking of being so strong that other characters in the same class can't compete with him, Kid Buu. I still stand by what I was saying that Kid Buu is one of the most fun characters in the game, but my god is he broken. No other technical character can compete with Kid Buu. No other technical character can do as much damage as Kid Buu. No other technical character can do as much crowd control as Kid Buu. But with the exception of Ultimate Gohan, what is a Krillin supposed to do against a Kid Buu? And even though Ultimate Gohan, has a bunch of crowd control, Kid Buu has more range to cause an enemy to get out of position. His ultimate is insane. The amount of damage it does, the fact that it's a good boss secure, the fact that it makes Kid Buu invincible, and movement speed that he can move during it. The damage he does, the range he has, how tanky he can be, especially considering he's going to be building tanky, all the debuffs he applies. No other technical character can compete with Kid Buu. And while he is tremendously strong, he's just absolutely dominated the technical role, and it's tremendously hard to play any other character. And hopefully this does God Vegeta didn't set a precedence. The newest tank came out and they nerfed the old best tank in the game in the same patch. Hopefully they're not going to continue this trend with Final Form Frieza, who's a technical character, the first character released in Season 5, where they're going to nerf Kid Buu in the same patch so they can make Frieza the best technical in the game. I hope they don't continue that trend. But all 3 of the Season 4 half anniversary characters need to be nerfed. Overall, for the Season 4 half year anniversary, there's a lot of good here. And this is probably the season I've played the most thanks to Kid Buu, thanks to me doing my challenge video of winning with every character, thanks to a bunch of different things, and me grinding out double hero memories. There's just a lot of... They would take a step forward, but then take like a step to the left. That was weird that they took that step and caused players to get upset or just question what they're doing. And obviously some steps back. So, well, I personally really like Season 4 Happy Anniversary. Do I think it's better than Season 3? That's an interesting question, because Season 3 felt like the culmination of all of these new bandage fixes and quality of life changes that they were implementing at the end of Season 2. And if it really felt like at the end of Season 2 and Season 3, that's when they started listening back to a lot of the initial feedback given to the game from launch, with low Zenny, low hero memories, character unlocks, blah, blah, blah. Season 4 kind of feels like they tried their best to implement all of these... what they probably had planned for a while now. And they were kind of scrambling to fix everything. And that's why we have some weird side steps like that. For my personal enjoyment, I did enjoy Season 4 Happy Anniversary much more than Season 3. So, off of that, I will say yes, the Season 4 Happy Anniversary was better than Season 3 and is the best season in the game. But there's just a lot of weird steps that they took that either rightfully pissed people off or just made people upset. And I personally enjoyed it. I think I'm a decently more positive outlook on Squadra than a lot of players. I'm excited for Season 5 and to see what else they do. I just hope when we get eventually to the 1 year anniversary, they don't take these small missteps. Like one of the missteps that they did was during the part 2 Happy Anniversary, this red versus blue infinite skins. There are people in my comments talking about how they were quite upset because this God Goku infinite skin looks so cool, but they just use their EX tokens on the Super Saiyan 3 infinite skin. And all these infinite skins look really nice. They're some of the best looking infinite skins in the game. But they're all locked behind a bundle that is seemingly going away at the end of the Happy Anniversary with no talks of how to get them again. I don't know why that's a bundle when they could all sell these individually or keep them in the game forever because players clearly want them. It's weird stuff like that where I'm glad they have made good infinite skins, but why are these in a bundle? Happy Anniversary Part 1, giving you a bunch of new characters for free, a bunch of new events, but wasn't too much else going on. These crazy changes that they're doing with the camera, good or bad, no matter how you feel about it. Still weird that they did it. Why didn't they talk about it in the Squadra talk? I think the season's better than Season 3, and I probably played the season the most out of any of the other seasons besides like launch. But there is a lot of questionable things that they did here that I hope they start to iron out, because I truly do love Gekishin Squadra and I wanted to succeed and improve. They just need to iron out all these small little kinks that I'm sure it's going to happen anytime a new game releases. And I still have a lot of faith in the Squadra team to hopefully improve on this and to truly make this game the best it could possibly be. I've been rambling for 53 minutes. Holy shit. Shout out Stream a quote for the background music. I'll leave you the link to this exact video that we're listening to. Please check them out and give them some love because they do phenomenal work. Thank you guys so much for watching. If you guys liked the video, please leave a like, comment, subscribe, it means a lot to me. Stay tapped on the channel if you want to see everything Dragon Ball Gekishin Squadra, including future news coverage on Season 5, more videos on Final Form Frieza, Kid Goku, and Bulma, as well as any other potential news you need to know for the game. Thank you guys again for watching, and I'll see you guys next time. Bye!